right, welcome into the postgame show, everybody. Altitude Sports Radio. I'm Dan Tanner, your host for Nuggets postgame in the paint. Technically, it's not postgame yet. There's 25 seconds left in this one. The Nuggets are up 130 to 122. Nuggets have the ball. They're just going to let them. Actually, AG is about to shoot a three, misses. Rebound Kings. This thing's over. 12 seconds to go. There's a Schroeder with a gimme bucket. Nuggets are going to pull this one out, everybody. 130 to 124. Actually, I think the Kings just sent the Nuggets to the free throw line. Not really sure why they did that, but we'll get into it. Welcome into the show, everyone, as the Nuggets look to close out the Sacramento Kings here in the last 9.1 seconds of the game. Actually, now the Nuggets are just inbounding. They had a foul to give. Are they going to foul again? They fouled Christian Brown with 6.8 seconds. I mean, it's a two-possession game, so you never know. But this thing is all but over. In Russell Westbrook's return to the Mile High City, boy, just kind of wanted to start there with Russ, and I'll let you know when this goes final. I'm just watching the end of it here in my little studio. But Russell Westbrook gets the tribute video. That was cool to see. Obviously, we spent all of last season with the Denver Nuggets. Russ played great tonight. You know, this was the thing with Russell Westbrook when he was here with the Denver Nuggets, and really it's been this way for the last, 6, 7, 8 years of his career. There are games that Russell Westbrook looks like one of the best players on the floor. And then there are games where Russell Westbrook looks like one of the worst players on the floor. Tonight we saw good Russ. It just went final, 130 to 124. The Nuggets get the victory over Russell Westbrook and the Sacramento Kings, so they will improve to 4-2 on the season. Will the Denver Nuggets on the early stretch of this year's NBA schedule? But just going back to Russ real quick, you know, he just had these kind of moments last year sporadically throughout the season. Roller coaster Russ. And we saw games like this from Russell Westbrook when he was with the Denver Nuggets. He was way too up and down for my liking. And I know a lot of Nuggets fans, I've heard you guys talk about that, heard you all talk about frustration with Russ and then being really happy with Russell Westbrook. But tonight we got good Russ, because he was really, I mean, for the vast majority of this basketball game, he was the best player on the floor for the Sacramento Kings. And let's not, I don't want to just brush past the Kings, because for the last, 15 years, really since like the early to mid 2000s, the Kings have been one of the worst franchises in the NBA. But over the last 5 years, they've really put a pretty good young team together. Domantas Sabonis, I think, over the last couple of years has been one of the best Jokic-like big men in the NBA. Now, he's not anywhere close to Nikola Jokic's level, but I think he's, that next tier down of players that play that style of basketball. I think he's a really good player. I think Alperen Şengün with the Houston Rockets has surpassed Sabonis as far as the next best big that plays that style behind Nikola Jokic. Şengün I've always been a big fan of his, and he had another really good game tonight that we'll get into here in just a little bit. But the Kings are a good basketball team. Like, they're a very talented team. DeMar DeRozan can still score. I mean, he's just a professional scorer. That's what he does. Dennis Schroeder, been in the league forever, still pretty quick. Saw him blow by a lot of Nuggets defenders tonight. Saw him jawing with Bruce Brown and Nikola Jokic at times in this game. He was fired up tonight as well. Zach LaVine, I mean, he is an excellent player. The way he has recreated himself from early on in his career with the Minnesota Timberwolves and then the Bulls, now he's with the Kings. He was a horrible shooter when he entered the NBA. He has become a deadly outside and three-point shooter. So this team is nothing, nothing to sneeze at with these Sacramento Kings. It wasn't Denver. I get it. The Nuggets were just coming off of 2 days rest, didn't play on Saturday or Sunday. So they had to get this one, and they made it tight. Really, the Nuggets tried to keep pulling away in this one, and then the Kings would just hit a couple of big shots. The Nuggets defense, I didn't think was anything great tonight. They were letting by way too many blow-bys on the defensive end tonight for my liking. But hey, I mean, if you score 130, you're going to win 95% of those games in the NBA, and that's what the Nuggets were able to do tonight. So the offense has never been a worry for me with the Denver Nuggets. It's a lot of this is about the defense, and really early on in David Adelman's tenure, I'm very curious to see how the Nuggets will be defensively. Now, personnel-wise, I think they're much better suited for the defensive end of the floor than they were the last 2 years, mainly because Michael Porter Jr. is not here. And I love MPJ, but he couldn't defend a lick. Cam Johnson, I thought, was really working hard on Sabonis, on Levine tonight. He was making it tough on them. Those are just things that Michael Porter Jr. was never able to do. He was staying with defenders when they were driving into the lane to try to get a shot at the rim. He was right there with them. Got a couple of ticky-tack foul calls that I wasn't super happy about, but I'm really liking what I'm seeing from the defensive effort, at least from Cam Johnson in his early tenure with the Denver Nuggets. I think he's been really good in that area, and I think he will continue to grow on the offensive end. I think for Cam specifically, I've talked about this before, but he just needs some time. Like, he really does. And they showed him an interview from Shoot Around yesterday. And I had said before the season started, he was talking about how he needed time to fit into this offense, to fit into the Nuggets playing style, playing with Nikola Jokic. I mean, just a couple days ago, he was still saying that. So obviously Cam Johnson just needs a little bit of time, but you can see flashes of what he can be in this Nuggets offense. I will say there was a couple of drives he had to the rim without the basketball that he had tonight where Nikola Jokic just hit a bounce pass right into the lane, wide open. I think Cam Johnson is going to start to learn pretty quickly that if you just cut to the rim, you're going to get easy buckets on this team more than any other team in the NBA. That's how Bruce Brown has made his living. That's how Christian Brown has made his living, at least on the offensive end for the Nuggets. And, earlier on in his time with the Nuggets, that's how Aaron Gordon made his living. Now, Aaron Gordon has evolved into a more just well-rounded, complete player on the offensive end, especially the last 2 years. He's been shooting close to 45% from three. I mean, he was awesome again from three tonight. But I think it's just going to take Cam a little bit of time, but you can see the flashes. And I would like to see him start to be a little bit more aggressive on the offensive end. But again, I think he's just a little tentative right now because he doesn't want to overstep his boundaries, if you will, and disrupt what the Nuggets have done so well on the offensive end of the floor in the Nikola Jokic era. So that's just a little bit of what I'm seeing from Cam Johnson right now. But I do see flashes with Cam that I'm not really that worried. And it's funny, our last show, D-Mac was asking me if I'm worried about Christian Brown. He actually asked that same thing to Hastings on our radio show, noon to 3. And, Scott's answer was no. My answer was no. And D-Mac has a good point. I mean, coming into this game, he was shooting like under 20% from three. But I'm not worried about Christian. The only thing I've ever been concerned about is Christian's outside shooting consistency. But if you look at his numbers, I mean, he's close to 40% for his career from three. So you've got to think that CB's shooting numbers are inevitably going to go up sooner rather than later. And I thought this was Christian's best game of the season tonight. I think it was obviously his best game of the season so far. I mean, he had 21 points, 7 of 10 shooting, did hit a three. So he was really efficient tonight. I thought he was playing menacing defense one-on-one. So I think CB is going to be fine. He played 31 minutes tonight. I thought it was his best game of the year. Nikola Jokic tonight was just awesome as always. The guy had at least 5 just unbelievable passes. He had the pass over Sabonis' head that looked like he was trying to give him a haircut for the Aaron Gordon dunk. I mean, this guy is so dialed in right now. It is fantastic to see how quickly he's gotten things going this season alongside Jamal Murray as well. So the Nuggets are rolling on the offensive end right now. I mean, Joker had 14 assists tonight to go along with 4 steals and 2 blocks, by the way. And he hit 4 threes. Now, he did take 10, but hey, if Nikola Jokic shoots 40% for the season from 3, I will take that. Now, I know last year he shot close to 50, and that was just an unbelievable, crazy year for Nikola Jokic. But if you have your 7-foot center shooting 40% from three, you take that all day. And he was 14 of 22 from the field overall, was Nikola Jokic, to go along with 7 rebounds. So he was 3 rebounds shy of a triple-double. But, I mean, I thought Nikola Jokic was outstanding. And in that fourth quarter, the Kings made a little bit of a comeback. They had the momentum. Joker comes back into the game with, 7.5 minutes to go, hits a 3, just cold off the bench after sitting for 20 or so minutes, kills that momentum for Sacramento. The Kings come down and hit a 3. It's like, okay, didn't really take the momentum away. And then Bruce Brown comes down and hits a 3. So I thought that last unit to close this game out did a really good job of not allowing Sacramento to fully capitalize on that little bit of momentum that they gained in this one. And I just thought that was it was just a good, solid offensive, really good offensive performance from the Nuggets tonight. Some things to clean up defensively for sure. That second unit was pretty porous defensively. I mean, the Nuggets didn't have a quarter in this game where they didn't give up at least 30 points. They gave up 30 points in the first quarter, 33 points in the second, 30 in the third, and 31 in the fourth. You'd like to see at least one of those quarters be at the 25-ish mark. Even if the other 3 are 30 or more, that's usually enough for this team to easily win these games because their offense is so good. But luckily, their offense was so good tonight and they had such a good first quarter to get this thing rolling that they didn't have to put in an elite defensive effort. But that is something that I've talked about this a lot when it comes to the Nuggets. Like, they're so good offensively, and Nikola Jokic is such a hard player to defend for any player in the game or any NBA defense. Any of these coaches that have to game plan defensively going up against Nikola Jokic must be getting maybe a half hour of sleep the night before, because the guy just makes things impossible with everything he does out there. So they're so good offensively that, especially in the regular season, I don't really worry about the defense as much. But I've talked about this many times before. You don't have to have an elite defense to win an NBA championship, but you have to have a good defense to win an NBA championship. You have to have a competent defense. The year the Nuggets won the title, I believe they had the first or second best defensive rating of any team in the playoff that year. So, and in the regular season, they were like right around middle of the pack. Now, the last couple of years, they've slipped into the 20s as far as defensive rating goes, and they've got knocked out in the second round twice in a row in 2 Game 7s. So that's where those little improvements on defense can win or lose you a series in the playoffs. So I'm not looking for the Nuggets to make, huge leaps and bounds in their defense as we go throughout the season. I'm just looking for like little incremental improvements. And I think with the additions of Cam Johnson and Valanciunas, who I also thought had a really good stint in the second quarter tonight, especially defensively on Sabonis, boy, is it nice to see Nikola Jokic not out there and Sabonis still have problems getting his shot at the rim. I mean, he had more problems with Big Val than he did with Nikola Jokic getting to the rim tonight. So that was really good to see. But I just want to see those just incremental improvements week by week, month by month, as we go along into this regular season. And I think the Nuggets will be just fine in that area. And they always just seem to find a way to turn it up a little bit defensively in the playoffs as well. And Bruce Brown, I think he's a really good defensive player as well, coming off the bench like we saw in the Nuggets championship season. So that was really cool to see. All right, another thought I had on tonight's game, and I've talked a little bit about this as well. Adelman really is mixing and matching his lineups and his rotations early on this season, which shouldn't surprise you because he said he was going to do that. And again, Scott brought it up on the broadcast. Adelman said these first 10 games are really going to be sort of the experimental phase of our season as far as the lineups go. When does he take Nikola Jokic out? Like, when do you rest Joker? You can tell Adelman's kind of tinkering with that a little bit. Saw a lineup with Bruce Brown and Julian Strother in there together tonight. So as long as they're winning the majority of these games, I'm fine with that. But if they start to lose these games, then it's going to be tougher for Adelman to do this. So that's why it was really good for the Nuggets to be able to pull this one out tonight, while Adelman is clearly still just trying to experiment and figure out what's going to work best for this team. I mean, he's doing this for a reason, obviously. He's not planning on experimenting with the rotations all year long. He's trying to see early on in the season what's going to work best for this team, especially with the addition of all of the new guys they have. They basically have a brand new bench. So I don't mind it at all. Now, at some point, it's got to normalize. Like, you're going to have to see more consistency from these rotations, from when you're taking, actually the funny thing is, I do think the rotations need to normalize. I think Adelman can just sort of pick and choose when he wants to rest Nikola Jokic. I mean, again, we've seen it happen differently in almost every game this year. Some games he's out with 3 minutes to go in the first quarter. Sometimes he plays the full first quarter. Sometimes he plays the full third quarter. Sometimes he takes him out before the end of the third quarter. And when Valanciunas is in there, I mean, he played, I think Adelman took Joker out with about like 45 seconds to go in the first quarter tonight. But Val played a full 8-minute stretch. So the plan, at least for now, is clear with what David Adelman is trying to do with Nikola Jokic. I don't think it's as much of like when he's specifically taking him out, but it's for how many minutes is he taking him out. I think that's really what the plan is, at least for right now. And I think it's genius because I've talked about this many, many times. The plan for guys like Joker and Jamal and Aaron Gordon and the veterans that have been here for a long time, and they're your best players, the plan for them shouldn't be to play them huge minutes early in the season. You want to save that for the second half, really post All-Star break, which technically is much further past the second half of the season. So I'm liking what I'm seeing as far as that goes from David Adelman and how he's managing Nikola Jokic's minutes. I really am intrigued by that. So good to see. Really good win from the Nuggets tonight. I want to get to your comments as we roll along here. Let's see. I'm just waiting for Adelman to speak, and then I was going to try and play some of that for you guys, but we'll get to some of your comments while we're waiting. Let's see. Win says Operation 80-2. Okay. I always love the Rockies tweets if they win their first game of the season, like 162-0. Hey, I like the optimism. Never going to happen, but I like it. I like it. Let's see here. Coach Castillo says, I don't like how CB has started the season. Coach, I mean, I haven't liked how he started the season either, but I will say tonight looked more like the Christian Braun we're accustomed to seeing. He was driving to the basket. He found a lot of open looks from Nikola Jokic by driving to the basket. He shot 7 of 10. Thought he played pretty good defense. I mean, this was a vintage Christian Braun type of game. He was 1 of 3 from beyond the arc, kind of what you expect from Christian Braun. So I agree with you. I have not liked what I've seen from Christian Braun early on in the season, but I thought tonight was his best game of the season by far. So good stuff from CB. We'll see if he can keep that rolling. Let's see here. Caesar says, did we see enough from CB to feel good about paying him? Well, I mean, I still think it's too early to tell that, but I feel good about them paying CB. Like, what was their other option? That's always the question you got to ask yourself. Was there a better option financially and on the floor, the basketball side? I'm a huge fan of Christian Braun, by the way. I think he's one of the best two-way guards in the NBA. I think that's what he's developed into coming into year 4. I really do. I mean, he led the NBA in transition points last year. So I'm high on Christian Braun. I know he's had a rough start to the season, but I'm not worried in the slightest about Christian Braun. I think he's going to be fine. Let's see here. Kevin says, awesome win tonight. Appreciate you listening, Kev. Ooh, here we go. This is what I'm looking for. Jamin says, losing Russ was such a mistake. Okay, that's just trolling. I mean, this is just trolling at this point, 82-0. But going to the first part of that, I would be curious to hear your thoughts on Russell Westbrook leaving. And by the way, just so we're clear, Russell Westbrook chose to leave Denver, okay? He did not pick up his option. Just in case anybody needs a reminder, the Nuggets did not release him or trade him or cut him. He didn't pick up his player option. He chose to leave. So, whether or not you think you wanted him back is more of a discussion, but they didn't get rid of Russ. Russ left. And I have a suspicion that Russ wanted to be closer to his family, number one, because he lives in Los Angeles, so much closer than Denver is Sacramento to LA. Also, just from small little birdies that I've heard, maybe he wasn't received very well in the Nuggets locker room. Now, I don't have any specific instances, and again, I'm really just speculating here, but I have been told that there were some moments of friction with Russ in the Nuggets locker room last year. So I don't know. I think it's for the best, quite honestly. I liked Russ when he was here last year. I really did, as long as he wasn't shooting too many threes. But I think it all worked out for the best. I was asking myself the question, like, who would you rather have just straight up on the Nuggets this season? Bruce Brown or Russell Westbrook? I mean, really. And I think it's a fair debate. And I'm not saying, because I'm taking Bruce Brown. There's no doubt about it. Now, I think it's a close race, but I just think that Bruce Brown is much more consistent. He's a better defender, and I think he plays in the Nuggets offensive system better than Russ did. To me, Russ felt like he was almost playing outside of the Nuggets system at times. When you have Nikola Jokic on your team, you play the way that Nikola Jokic wants you to play. Bruce Brown plays the way Nikola Jokic wants you to play. Aaron Gordon plays the way Nikola Jokic wants you to play. Christian Brown, same thing. So I thought Russ had a good stint last year with the Nuggets, but I don't think at this point in his career and at this point in the Jokic era, I just don't think it was a great fit. So give me your thoughts. I'd be curious to know what you think. All right, Coach Castillo says Jokic is still out of shape. Hey, man, I said at the beginning of the season, he looked pretty hefty. And this isn't the first time we've seen a hefty Joker come into a Nugget season. But I will say that for a guy that looks out of shape, he's having a historic start to the season. And I'm not worried about Nikola Jokic at all. He's not only, I hate when people just say he's going to play his way into shape. Yes, that's part of it. But for those of you who don't know this, and I know a lot of you listening do know this because I've talked about it a lot. Scott Hastings on our radio show talks about it all the time. A lot of people in the Nuggets media talk about this. Nikola Jokic lifts in the weight room after every single game. Every game. And you might say, well, all the players do that. No, they don't. In fact, Jamal Murray is not one of those players that does that every game. Now, I'm not even saying that Jamal should. I don't know what his routine is and if that would be beneficial for him or not. I'm just telling you, Nikola Jokic is in the weight room after every single game. Doesn't matter if it's a back-to-back. Doesn't matter if it's the end of a 7-game road trip. He's in the weight room lifting after every single game. I know this because, number one, that people have just reported it to me all the time. I've been in the press room waiting for him to come in there an hour to, I would say, sometimes like almost 90 minutes after the end of the game. So what happens in the press room at Ball Arena, because I don't travel with the team, so I only know what happens at home, but I know it's the same on the road too. David Adelman or the head coach speaks, 5 minutes after the end of the game, probably, roughly. Then they'll have another player come in right after Adelman. Then everybody in the Nuggets media is sitting in that media room for, sometimes it's 45 minutes to an hour waiting for Nikola Jokic to come in there to do his post-game press conference. I'm not worried about Nikola Jokic looking a little bit out of shape because I do agree with you, okay? And I actually said this over the summer when I saw videos of him in Serbia. Said he looks a bit out of shape. When he was playing for Team Serbia, he looked a bit out of shape. When he came into training camp in the start of this year, he looks a bit out of shape, at least compared to like what he looked like over the last couple of years. I think he had come into the season in a little bit better shape, but it's hard to criticize a guy who started the season with was it 4 or 5 consecutive triple doubles? I mean, it's just absolutely insane. All right, let's see. We've got David Adelman here, so I would like to play a little bit of that for you before we get out of here. I would be curious to see if Adelman talks about the rotations or anything like that. So I'm going to share my screen and we will hear from Nuggets head coach David Adelman.
Yeah, except I thought we were really sloppy at the end again, though. I mean, this is what teams have done. They've hit the ball, pre-rotated. We've talked about it. Had to have a better urgency to meet the ball. It didn't affect the outcome of the games. We had a comfortable lead, but it's going to, and that's what happened in Portland a little bit. But yeah, a lot better. I mean, we had talked about it. It was good to see the guys react in a positive way to it. And 33 assists to go along with that is it's a good number. It's a number that we've been accustomed to doing over the years when we take care of it.
You guys went all bench lineup for a little bit there. What did you like? What did you kind of see with that group?
Yeah, they were good. I think it was maybe -1 or it was even when those guys were in there, something right there. Yeah. No, they were good. It's just one of those things you have to find who the lead ball handler will be for that group. I thought Bruce was really good tonight in that role. Then they changed up who was guarding who. Julian did a little bit. Peyton. So yeah, it was good to see. And having Valanciunas is such a big deal. Like I said this before, I was so impressed with. Guy comes in the game and just immediately gets a bucket. Like that's just who he is. So to have those guys, they're getting used to each other. That won't always be the case. We play 5 bench guys together, but it felt right tonight. I want to get Julian in the game. I want to give Jamal a longer run in the first quarter, so it worked out.
Did any of that also circumstantial with him just having had the cap tightness recently because his minutes end up a little bit lower than they have been in games that have been competitive?
Yeah, I honestly, I wasn't protecting him tonight, to be completely honest. I just thought the way that the game ran, same thing with Nicole in the second quarter. My plan was to get him in earlier, but it felt like we were doing a good enough job that it didn't have to happen. And if you can save a few minutes here and there and still feel like you're in a good spot in the game, I'd like to do that. And then I thought that starting unit came back in at the end of the second quarter and had a lot of energy and pushed the lead back out to a somewhat comfortable spot. So it was a good team win.
Cam Johnson still hasn't found that 3 ball 5 again tonight.
Yeah.
But it sure seemed his activity was all over the court on both ends.
For sure. And the cutting and moving and relocation, such a big deal for us. Opens up the floor for Nikola and Jamal to just play. And then obviously, the shots that he's missing are shots that I hope he shoots over and over and over. They're great shots. The guys were really unselfish tonight. I thought everybody got off the ball the majority of the time at the right time. And if you do that, you're going to get great shots like Cam got, like Bruce got in the corner, like Aaron got early. If you can just make simple plays, which I thought late in the game we made things very not simple, but throughout the game we did. And if we do that, we're going to score a lot of points. It's just the way it is.
We don't ask you about Nikola enough because that broke at this point 34 points. He was 10 of 12 from 2-point range.
Yeah.
7 rebounds, 14 assists, 4 steals. What did you see from him tonight?
Yeah, he had good juice. He was looking for his shot early, and I thought his rhythm was really good because I thought we found him in the pocket early, and we have to do that and be more consistent with it. I think early in games, if he picks and pops and that's the coverage they have, we have to throw him the ball. If the coverage is him in the short roll, We have to find him early. And honestly, for me as a coach, it allows me to see what they're trying to accomplish defensively. And if you wait to go there, you've just wasted minutes of what we need to see. And I thought it was good we got him in the post early to see coverage there. So, yeah, I mean, he's, you know what it is, man. It's efficiency like we've never seen, especially not dunking the ball. It just doesn't make sense.
David, Christian last year didn't have any game where he shot 8 free throws a game, and he's already done that twice this season. It seems like he's just making a little more concerted effort to play through contact, get to the rim, and get to the line.
Yeah. And I think also in the splits and the cutting and the moving, he's done a really good job fighting through contact, not waiting for a call. You know, sometimes you get wrapped up with somebody and you stop playing, you put your hands in the air. If you want the call, earn it and cut through their body. And he's been doing that lately. And not to mention, you know, this league is about respect, and CB's earned it over the years. It really is. It's a league that's like that. It's the way it should be. And he's a seasoned guy out there now that knows the league well. And like you said, I think he's figured out the physicality of the league as well.
Okay, good stuff there from Nuggets coach David Adelman. I love that last line there. If you want to foul, earn it. That's great. Just, you know, I was thinking about this watching this game tonight. You know, and it goes the Nuggets way too. Like the Nuggets players do this also. But my God, it seemed like tonight it was just every freaking whistle. Guys were rolling their eyes in the back of their head, you know, hands up in the air. It's like, can we just get one NBA game where not every single foul call the dude's complaining about? Is that ever possible to happen? Like sometimes they are fouls. So that's why I kind of love that there from David Adelman. It's like, dude, if you want a foul call, like go earn it, you know? Go earn that. There's too many times where guys are going to the rim to get fouled instead of trying to go to the rim to score. Like, no. Go to the rim to score. And if you get fouled and get 2 shots at the line, that's great. That's how it's supposed to work. But there's even been a couple instances this year where Aaron Gordon has gone to the rim to try to get fouled and not to score. Now, I don't see AG do that all the time, so it's not like this huge thing I'm concerned about, but I do love that there from Adam, and it's like, that's such a great line. I love that. If you want to get a foul call, you got to earn it. And especially if you're a young player in this league, as much as fans probably don't like to hear this, there are favorable calls in the NBA. I don't know if you know that. Like, a foul on LeBron isn't going to be a foul on Julian Strawther. You know what I'm saying? Like LeBron driving to the rim, somebody does something, he's going to get a foul call, where a guy like Hunter Tyson will not. So that's just the nature of sports, really. And that's not just an NBA thing. That's in every sport. These refs are human. They know who these guys are. They know who the stars are. They know who brings in the ratings. Now, I hope they try to ref the game as fair as possible, but that's just the reality of what's happening out there. And I think it'd be dumb to pretend like that isn't what's happening. So, and look, Nikola Jokic gets superstar calls now too. Now, does he get as many as I think he should? No, I don't. I don't think he's gotten to that level of respect as a guy like LeBron or KD or Steph as far as the whistle from the refs. I do not believe that, but I do think Nikola Jokic gets his fair share of superstar calls, if you will. So really love that line there from David Adelman. One other thing, he was asked about Cam Johnson, and, you know, his answer was really kind of just what I talked about. Like, Cam, I thought, did a really good job tonight of cutting to the rim. His shot wasn't falling. All of his shots were short too. So maybe that's just the thing where he's trying to get his legs under him still. I don't know. Adjust to the altitude. I don't know what it is. But the shots he's taking, especially from 3, they're good shots. Like, he's open, and he's a career like 39% three-point shooter. So he should be taking those shots. It's not like in the past with MPJ, and I'm not trying to rip on MPJ because he's gone or anything like that, but there were many times in MPJ's career where, as good of a three-point shooter as he was and is, he would take really bad shots. So, you know, I just keep shooting, Cam, and it'll be fine. So, hey, great stuff from the Nuggets tonight. There was David Adelman for you, everybody. Really appreciate you listening. Again, the Nuggets beat the Kings 130-124. Nikola Jokic, just excellent as always. 34 points for the Joker, 14 assists, 7 rebounds, was 10 of 12 from 2-point range, 4 of 10 from 3. Just awesome. I thought it was Bruce Brown's best game of the season. I know it's still early, but I thought of the first 6, I thought it was his best game of the season. I thought it was Christian Brown's best game of the season. That was great to see. We'll see if he can continue that. And the Nuggets just are rolling offensively. And Jonas Valanciunas, you heard Coach mention him there too. He is such a luxury for this team. And I have been begging for the Nuggets to get a legitimate backup center for years, and they finally have one. So it is awesome to see. Just there's so many things that Adelman can do with this lineup now. That is just it's absolutely fantastic to see. The Nuggets improved to 4-2 on the season. This was the first game of a 4-game homestand, so a little continuity in their schedule coming up here too, because to start the season it was road home, road home, road home. But now you've got 4 straight home games for the Denver Nuggets. They will be playing the Miami Heat coming up on Wednesday. And just a reminder for those on here who are frequent listeners of PhD on Altitude Sports Radio 92.5. Coming up tomorrow, we're doing Avs Ticket Tuesdays. We'll have a keyword on the 20s every hour from 6A to 5P, and we'll give you a keyword. You text that to our text line 303-504-0925, and you will be entered in to win a pair of tickets to the Avalanche. And then we also have Nuggets Ticket Thursdays. So same thing on Thursdays for Nuggets tickets. On the 20s, 6A to 5P, we'll give you a keyword, text that in, and you will be entered in to win a pair of tickets for the Nuggets game. I'm also just seeing we're going to have Nuggets head coach David Adelman on at 12:45 tomorrow on Altitude Sports Radio 92.5. 12:45 tomorrow with PhD Nuggets head coach David Adelman will be on. Nuggets PR just confirmed that with me. So make sure to tune in all day starting tomorrow for Avs tickets. And again, we'll have David Adelman on coming up at 12:45. But that's going to do it for the post-game show, everybody. Appreciate you listening. We'll talk to you Wednesday night when the Nuggets and Heat go at it from Ball Arena. We'll see you all then.